Hello friends and welcome back. Going to paint a small one tonight. This is a 5x7 Centurion panel. Toned it with acrylic paint like I normally do. Let me turn you around and show you what we're going to try to do. I always say try because there's no guarantee it's ever going to work. Let me turn the light off so you can see that a little bit better, and I'll turn it back on. So, as you can see, this is higher than I'm seeing it, but I love the blue and white with the orange melon, and I threw some cherries in there. Those aren't real, but the melon is real. Get a lot of mileage out of a melon, I think, as a still life prop. They last a long time, and I like the color a lot. Don't love to eat them though. All right, get you a little closer. That's a pretty good view for you. We're using our view catcher, as I always do. Doesn't have a 5x7 setting, so I just open it up to the approximate, to my eye, what looks right. Bought a new tool. Let me show you. I was using a gift card I had and went to Hobby Lobby. I've already got paint on it. And I bought this. It's rubber. It's not a brush. I just thought it looked fun. What I'm thinking, might be nice for cutting in, exposing my tone with grasses, or maybe just at the end to add some little touches. I'm not sure. So, a new toy. We may, at the end, we may try to get it in there and play with it a little bit. All right, we'll get a somewhat smaller brush here to get going. And we'll sketch with what we usually use, which is ultramarine and transparent red oxide. I'm not completely sure I got everything out that I needed. I apologize for that. I did not get out any of my Gamblin solvent-free liquid. I thought I was all ready to go. I went shopping to find a new palette knife. I think I mentioned that I broke my other one because they don't work well to pry things open with, and I bought another small one. I'm trying to find the perfect small one like I had. I like them with a point for some reason. This is a new one I bought, and it doesn't have that nice point on it. I do have an old dirty one that I might like, but it's so funny how I don't know about you, but if you use a palette knife some, I think you, like with brushes, you find your favorites and they feel good in your hand, and so yeah. I broke it. I should know better. I apologize here, just squirting out a few paints. I should have been more ready. All right. So we'll look through the view catcher like we do, and we'll, I'll show you this, but I use the brush for placement to see where things land as I look through it. So it's going to be small because obviously we're working small. Like the jug's going to go up pretty high and come down pretty low. So we'll look through there. Looks like the edge of it's about there. About like that. So we'll start with the jug and try to spend as much time as I need to get the drawing correct. I've had a few fails lately that I ended up wiping off, and I think part of it came from that I just maybe didn't allow myself enough time on the drawing. I mean, you sure can mess it up even once the drawing's there, for sure, once you start applying paint, but it helps a lot to have a correct drawing. you know, if you do start painting and you dive in and you've gone pretty far and you find yourself adjusting and adjusting, obviously you did not spend enough time on your drawing. They're all lessons, you know. Every painting we do, I think, even if they're failures, you know, hopefully we learn from them, right, and they're a lesson. It goes down about that far, and then I start seeing the melon come in. Let me hold that brush out and see if I'm getting that angle right. So it's going to run off. There's a top plane to the melon. And I can see a little bit of the end of the melon, which is nice. I notice I say that a lot, which is nice. Sorry about that. Could be a drinking game, right? Every time I say which is nice, you drink. I've heard of people doing that. I'm not going to move on to color till I feel like my drawing's where I want it. You know, if it means wiping off and there's a pattern on this, which your options are, I mean, because we're kind of doing values, you could paint that on in this dark color and then come back and correct the color. Or you can paint the jug and then put the color on, whatever. Negative painting is nice, you know, if you were to lay the color on and paint around it, that's a nice effect too. Or some of both even, you know, maybe you'll okay, I'm looking here. If that comes about there, if that bottom's about there, I think I got that up a little high, so and I got 3 cherries, one over there, and this one overlaps, so 2 there and 1 here, and this stem comes up, kind of goes out that way. And then I do have fabric that runs fairly high, kind of cuts across there like that. All right, let's not move on till we really look at this and see how it feels. And I can see down inside of that some. Let's see if our little scraper will help us. This is obviously a rubber flexible kind of tool too. Let's see how this would work for that. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure at this point how I'm going to use it. It might even be a softening tool, or I'm going to take some of the color out of these. They're not all that dark. Let's get rid of some of that. Yeah, I'm liking it. Probably what I will do is I'll paint the jug in first and then we'll put the pattern on. I'm checking the shape of this. You know, when you got something that's, you can go back and forth like that to help yourself. We've had some snow lately. We got more coming in, I think, tomorrow night. I've got a show next weekend, next Saturday, on the 4th, I believe it is, at Northminster Church. So I always worry about, you know, this time of year doing a show. I haven't gotten canceled, but we have had years where we worried about getting back, had big snowfalls. So hopefully not. Most of our weather is not that bad typically. And then the 14th of February, I'll be doing a demo at the Middletown Arts Center. So I have to decide, you know, how big I'm working and what I'm doing. I'm thinking I'll probably do an 8x10 and some kind of simple still life. I'm thinking. All right, so let's. I think we'll start with the jug. And as I look over there at it, it's a kind of a neutral color. So we'll put some white into the stuff that we sketched with, and that is way too blue. So we'll add some more transparent red oxide, which pulls it warmer, more brown. It's better. And of course, this is not a commission, so I don't have to color match exactly. I'm just, like I always work, I'm trying to get me 3 values here to start with. I want to give a shout out to my sweet friend Millie. Millie's a good friend I've known for years, and she's great about watching my videos, and I just adore her. I need to see more of her. Hi there, Millie. All right, we're going to work with a bristle brush tonight. It's a Dick Blick Master Stroke. It's a long flat. I like long flats. I tend to use them too long till they turn into stubby little things, but that's really my favorite brush, is a long flat. So something to keep in mind when you're working with a light container like this. This is not a white container, but even if you are doing a white container, don't ever keep it so light that your highlights will not show. Keep that in mind. So if you're going to pre-mix some whites, say you're working on it, say this was a pure white container, I would suggest you put some pure white down there. You know that's your highlight, and then mix up your colors near it so you can see that everything is a bit darker than your highlight. Otherwise your highlight is not going to stand out. All right, we're going to start with the lightest part of this first. Pretty good sized brush for what we're doing here. And again, I could have put that blue pattern on first. Who's to say, you know, and I could have worked around it. Right now, I'm just going to paint the whole thing in, and then I'll lay that on later is my plan. Put a little solvent in this so it moves a little bit, thins it down a little bit. Always trying to think about not over stroking it, not overworking it, so it's painterly. Down behind there is probably a little bit darker because it's kind of hidden by the melon. And again, we'll be laying our pattern on this, so we'll be covering up a lot of this. Make it a little bit darker as I move away. Just trying to study what I'm seeing over there. So hopefully I do a nice little demo at the art, at the Middletown Art Center, and every painting you do, there's a chance it might fail. Okay, let me look at the placement of that compared to that cherry. Should be over that way a little bit more. So I'm thinking I'm going to keep it, my setup on the simpler side. I may do, I'm thinking like maybe watermelon, and I don't know. I haven't decided completely, but a bit darker over there. And this is a big brush, so maybe too big for what I'm going to try to do here. I was going to try to put a lighter edge back in there. We'll see. We can always go back in with the dark if we want. So that's pretty nice. I think that pretty much represents, and we can clean up the negative shape in the hole when we paint in the background. So let's move to the melon, which it's orange. So let's make the purest orange we can to start with, which is Cad Red Light and Cad Yellow Medium. All right, now as I look at it, it's a little dark. So when I put white in it, of course that cools it off. So let's put some more yellow back in it. And you may have obviously you probably have a favorite palette you like. I try to, me, I try to stay with the limited palette. I think you can get what you want out of that. I'm going to wash my brush fairly good because I don't really really want to muddy up this color. The top plane is a little bit darker, so I'm going to try to really look at what I'm seeing over there. And it gets a little lighter here and darker again here. I am still getting into some of that, my drawing color. Let's thin that down a little bit. So I say, if you get your drawing on there pretty correct, the painting part of it can go pretty quick, really. There aren't any highlights with this kind of thing, you know. There are a few on the jug we'll add later. And I'm going to put a bit of that orange in my little jug, reflected color. All right, so let's mix up some green for the rind. Again, this is a pretty large brush. The rind is, it's a weird color, isn't it? I mean, looking down there, I can't see. It's lighter because I'm not sure what color it is even. I guess it's kind of orangey, isn't it? We'll try that. You know, something I've never painted, I don't know why, is a pineapple. They look fun. I should do that, right? All right, I'm going to look at one thing I don't have is this dips down and then comes back up. So we'll work on that shape when we paint the background. All right, I'm going after the darkest part of the cherries. cherries are fun. One thing we did not put in, just an oversight on my part when we did our little value sketch, we did not put our shadows in for our cherries. Again, I just kind of missed them. I'm just using some of the colors of my palette, mixing up something for the background. Just trying to do a mottled background. Make that a little darker around that top so that top stands out a little more, even though it's not finished. Yeah, I messed that up. I want to make sure to show that that goes down and then that goes out. You know, it's a little jug. All right, the bottom, We'll mix a lot more white into that, and maybe even a little yellow. Warm it up a little bit. Get our solvent in there. The way I can, right now we have a little, okay, see, I think that's too close in color to the jug. I'm gonna wipe it out. I think it needs to be more yellow than that. Don't want to cover up all our pink. Oh, I see one thing I missed. There is a shadow from the jug. I talked about the shadows from the cherries, but then I didn't really pay much attention to this shadow here. Be wonderful to have a studio with, you know, north light, and of course I like to paint at night a lot, so that, you know, that wouldn't help me. I'm in here now, it's dark outside, and oh, okay, I see something I've missed there. Just making little adjustments there. Now the pattern we could paint on with tiny little brush, you know, if we wanted it really precise. That's up to you. I don't really want it that precise. So I'm going to use a smaller brush, but not a liner brush. And I'm going to use pure ultramarine blue. So you know, and the patterns on these little jugs, they're hand painted. So that's what we're doing, you know, so. lots of ways you could do the stems. We can use our little palette knife. We could take a little liner brush. That one's catching light. That's a little heavy, so let's go back and try to cut that down a little bit. But that stem's catching light. Not sure what that one's doing actually. All right, looking pretty good. I think I mentioned to you before that I've read that if you like, supposedly like would put green in the shadow here, the complement to the red, that can be interesting. I don't see that over there. They're a dark, cool shadow to me, so. You know, you could, I'm not saying I'm going to leave this, but we could take our new rubber knife and, you know, cut into maybe the outside edge of the shadow a little bit and expose some of our tone. You know, could be interesting. And I did leave some of the pink peeking through here and the orange at the top. You know, you could cut into the jug and expose some of the tone if you wanted. I don't feel like I want to though. Oops, I dirtied that up a little bit, didn't I? I was just trying to make it a little more painterly, maybe. All right. It's been about 45 minutes, not bad. Let me put a little mat around it and we can take a look at it. Let me put you directly in front of it. I like blue and white. I just always have. And I think the complement of the orange melon's kind of nice. So there you are. That's a 5x7, which is a standard size to frame. Yeah, I'm not unhappy with it. I think I like it. So it feels good to, you know, have it work out. I'm sure there are some changes I could make. There always is. I do think I might want to get a little darker in the neck so that stands out a little more. All right, I hope you enjoyed watching that. I enjoyed painting it, and I have a huge collection of blue and white pottery. I just love it. All right, like and subscribe, please, if you haven't done that. I'm still slowly growing. My subscribers, I don't know how many we're up to, but I don't get near enough views. I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. If you think there's something I can do to make the channel better, I have worked on my camera angles, so you get a nice view now, I think. And I do have a mic. I always have had. I don't know. Hopefully you hear me well enough. Maybe I need a new one. Let me know. All right. Thank you again so much for taking time out of your day. All right. I'll catch you soon. Good night.